Hello, I wonder if you can help me. I'm looking for Wayne Henderson.
You're going to have to speak some English. You talk funny. We don't understand this around here.
I beg your pardon, beg your pardon. Are you Mr. Henderson?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's pleased to meet you. I'm Loudon Temple from Scotland.
From Scotland?
Yeah.
That's down the other side of Wilkesboro, ain't it? Yeah. That...
Said it's worn off. Said, but Daddy.
Or some design. Now, I don't know where this one was back that far or not, but
And where's the Martha White flour sack?
there's probably one in there somewhere.
Mm.
And now, you may not be a good enough hillbilly to know that, but it's the buckle of a bib overall.
Oh, yeah.
Guitar, probably the very first one that I ever made, and it's you know, from thanks to my mother, has held on to this for all these years, and you know, it's been stuck in the attic and has a mouse hole or two, and it's
What's the name of that?
It's
Dental's.
dental Scotch snuff. It's a kind of snuff that I remember my granny. This is a carton box that it came into the store, and they probably bought something at the store that they packed in this box.
Roll her back around there. Let's see where that thing was bought at on the back. It says S.V. Tomlinson. You go ahead and tell me it.
Okay, S.V. Tomlinson, North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. That's pretty cool, you know. That's in your all's neck of the woods, you know. And these old glasses, they come in the neatest little glass about this tall, which I drink out of some of those right now. Yeah.
White liquor?
No, well, yeah, when you can get the good Wilkesboro stuff, and anyway, I have 3 of those old snuff glasses. That's what everybody used. You know, their grandmother dipped snuff, and it came in the glass. Then when it was empty, you could use the glass for water, milk, and jelly, and all kinds of things. But you know, you couldn't afford to throw anything away around here, you know.
So,
and
you bought the glasses and they gave you the snuff.
Yep, that's about it, about exactly. Mm-hmm. And this, I put a piece of fish line on this, and I could.
And what was the first tune?
Well, I think I got so I could play the Wildwood Flower on this thing, and of course it had 4 strings on it then, you know. And I need to do some repair work on it. It was just looks like about a. I don't know what gauge, but it was fishing line, monofilament fishing line.
The nail.
And, well, it looks like those nails have been there for a long time. You know, I can't remember. They're probably, most likely, sheetrock nails. Because I remember we used to have some of those around. And I just cut a little notch in the neck. And, of course, this cardboard probably doesn't hold up as good as rosewood and spruce, you know, these days, you know. But it sort of it needs a neck set pretty bad, but
you think you could get Wayne to work on that?
Well, I don't know whether he would work on something like that or not. But this thing evidently I just picked up an old board, or you know, a piece of a pine board that was probably laying around the farm.
I bet Herb could. That'd be a good job for him.
Herb Key might be one of the only ones that could. He's a neck set expert, so he might be able to do something with this. I may have to talk to him some of these days and see if I can get him to do it.
About give him one of those. Jars with snuff in it.
Yeah. It's a wonder he don't dip snuff anyway, Herb.
Did you say what age you were when you made that?
I would say, I can't remember exactly, but I would say anywhere from 8 to 10. And I think this box, it looks like 59, but I know it was since the first time I started playing one of my instruments out, people started seeing them. And one thing I remember. See, like I told you about, you know, the influence of Mr. Bowles Martin, and you know, what influenced me to make instruments and to play and everything else, because that guitar sounded so good, and I always wanted one, real bad, and I never could afford it, and never could afford a Martin guitar, but the second guitar that I ever made, I traded for the $40 and the case. I told you about that a little earlier. Well, that fella took that guitar and swapped it for a beautiful D28 Martin, and I like to died. I could not believe it. One of my guitars was traded even for a beautiful marten, that I could have had if I just had known the guy was there, and that it took me a year to get over that, and but then eventually, I was able to do some work and trade. There was 2 stores right here in Rugby, and one of them was out this way, just a little ways. One of them still stands there, the one that Mr. Ball had, and but before he had the store, there was 2 of them there, and one of them, Bradley Richardson, had that store, and my brother came up here, and Bradley was a sort of a prankster like fella. He was, he liked to pull jokes on people and do things like that. And he, my brother, they sent him to the store to get something, and that was the first anybody had ever seen around here. Bradley had ordered some coconuts, and you know what a coconut looks like. And they had a whole basket full of them sitting in the store there, and not a soul around here had ever seen one before. Never seen a coconut, other than coming in a baker's can, But they had the real thing, and my brother came up here and looked over in the store floor there and saw that basket full of coconuts, and he said, "What is that? What is that thing?" And Bradley told him, said, "It's a mule egg." And, and a mule egg, and he told my brother, said, "You take that thing to the house and make you a nest and set on it for 2 weeks, and you can hatch you a mule." And he said, "Well, I've been wanting a mule," said I could use it to plow the tobacco with and all kinds of things like that, and said that would be really neat. And so my brother didn't have any money, but Bradley was fascinated with him believing his story that he gave it to him. He said, "You take that down there and make you a nest and set on it for 2 weeks," and said you'll hatch you out a real mule, a little baby mule. So that's what my brother did. He went there and he took an old tobacco basket and he put some dirt in the bottom of it first, like he was making a good hen's nest, and some straw and hay, and built him a nest and put that mule egg and started setting on it. And we thought he'd lost his mind. And we didn't, and of course none of us had ever seen a coconut either. We didn't know what, but he sat on it for days and wouldn't even come off of it to go eat hardly. And just what he had to other stuff, he wouldn't hardly come eat. And my mom got real worried about him, and she'd carry him, his supper out there to him, and he sat there, he would not get off of it. And the 2 weeks passed, and nothing happened, And he said, "Well, I don't know." Said Bradley might have sold me a bad mule egg, I don't know. But he sat on it, but he sat several extra days, and nothing ever happened. Now finally he gave up, and he took it out one day, and he started shaking it and listening to it. He could hear something sloshing around in there, and he decided, well, it's got to be bad. It's rotten. He held it up to the sun, couldn't see nothing through anything, and he shook it and listened, pecked on it, couldn't hear a mule kicking in there or nothing. And he said, "Well, it's bad. He sold me a bad egg. It's rotten." Made him mad, and he walked out below the barn and threw that thing over the hill down there and threw it in the briar patch down there, and it landed right on top of this big rabbit. And it hit right beside that rabbit, and that rabbit jumped up and took around the side of the hill, and here my brother took after that rabbit and thought it was his mule, and it thought it was his little baby, and said, "Whoa, come back here, I'm your mammy, come here." And he chased it. Of course, he didn't have no luck catching a rabbit, so the rabbit outran him and left him, and he said, "Ah, hell, go on, you're too fast to plow with anyway."